Tame Impala är namnet på den här kvintetten som spelat Skandinavien runt i vinter och som kommer tillbaka för festivaler i Europa i sommar. Gomorron, eller good morning,
Morning.
säger jag till grundaren, sångaren Kevin Parker. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
How are you doing?
It's such a cool looking studio.
This is...
You got the kitchen over there.
Yeah, we got all sorts of stuff here. And you got all sort of stuff in your music collection, I guess. Because when I listen to your songs, it seems like there's so many elements from so many different kinds of music. And I was curious, do you have any like Swedish artists or Swedish music in that?
Oh, well, actually, funny enough, yeah. I'm glad you asked. One of my favorite bands are Gomorron. I've loved for years. The guy behind it, Gustav, has been a big inspiration for me, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now that I think about it, there's so much Swedish music that I love and respect, you know. I think like back when we used to live together and make music, we were always talking about like, why Sweden has so many amazing bands, you know. Like, we're trying to work it out, what it is, but I don't know, something about the sensibility of like Swedish folk music, I guess. I don't know. But
it's funny that you mentioned like Dungan and Swedish folk music, because I remember back in 2010 when you released Inner Speaker, your very first album.
Yeah.
I was listening to it and I thought, this is like the old Swedish prog music. Not like progressive rock, that's something else.
Right.
It's quite a folky version of Swedish song.
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff, even like Baby Grandmothers, like a 60s like prog band. Yeah. We learnt about a lot of stuff back. We took in so much music back then, you know. But yeah, it's just sprung to mind.
But definitely a Dungan connection in early Tame Impala.
Oh yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it, definitely.
If we go back, you're from Perth, and well, you grew up a little bit outside, I guess, or?
Outside Perth? Oh no, we were it's pretty much, Perth's pretty like spread out, so even when you're in the middle, you feel like you're in the outside, you know.
But from what I've heard, your dad gave you some words of advice at early age and said, don't go into music.
Oh, right.
And it wasn't for the obvious reasons. He didn't mean the drugs. He didn't mean that you should be a poor guy singing in the streets, no money and no family or whatever. He had something else in mind.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, he was a musician himself, like just as a hobby. And he basically warned me, you know, like, don't pursue music as what you do for a living, you know, like because like he loved music just as much as I do, you know, like for how magic it is and mysterious, you know, and he basically just said like if you do it as a living, it'll ruin the magic, you know, because he was genuinely concerned. He was like, you know, I know how much you love music, but if it's what you do to put food on the table, you know, like it'll take away the joy. He was wrong, obviously. You know?
But he had some. I mean, like, how do you do to keep the magic still there? Because
I mean,
not to make it just a job.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think all it takes is to realize like how many layers there are to music, especially when you're sort of on the creative side. You know, there are so many things to discover, so many more things like that your curiosity can find, you know. But I think for him it was more about just like, because he never wrote songs. He wasn't really as creative as I turned out to be.
No, he was in a cover band.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what he did. He just played covers, you know. But for me, like one of the most exciting things about music is finding new things. You know, and there are always new things to find. There'll never be a time when you know everything or you've done everything. You know.
Apparently there was a huge record collection in your home, and was that like the key into your own musicality?
I guess so. I mean, I feel like everyone's record collection was pretty big back then, but I guess my mum listened to a lot of music. She loved you know, the Beach Boys, Supertramp, all that kind of stuff.
And Beach Boys and Supertramp, they are like bands that but are very good with the melody, and that seems to be one of the things that's
I guess it's just the thing that I grew up falling in love with music. You know, is like how much the melody moves me. I guess it was just my parents. Their tastes kind of just transfused into me.
But was it some special artist or just?
I mean, I guess I just always listened to what they did, like, you know, the Beatles, all that kind of stuff, Fleetwood Mac, all that kind of music that's just like really kind of, it's really upbeat, but it's really soulful at the same time. You know, it's pop, but it's really kind of like emotional.
Do you remember the very first time, Kevin, when you discovered that now I got something for myself on my own, like this is my kind of music?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as soon as I was a teenager, I started like, you know, music became a big part of my identity, and like it was a big part of like finding what I liked and no one else does. You know, it was very much like became who I was. I can't remember what music it was. You know, probably some really grungy, teenage angsty kind of stuff. But you know, definitely the feeling was there.
You started off as a duo, and now I guess there are 5 of you. But still, Tame Impala is very much your own sort of a project. You do the songs on your own and so on. How does things work out?
Well, it's kind of always been like that. It's like the two kind of things run parallel almost. Like I've always just had the songs that I kind of make on my own, like in my studio, which was back then just my bedroom, you know. And then there's always been like the band running alongside it, which in the early days we didn't even play the songs that I wrote. We played just totally different songs. You know, I'd write songs that I just do for myself, and I'd write songs that we play in a band. Which the ones we played in the band were just more simple, kind of like songs you could just play really loud at the school theatre, you know. So yeah, it's always it's kind of still like that today. You know, there's the songs. I mean, like nowadays it's more the same thing. So like I just make albums in my home studio, and then we learn them live and play them.
Currents, your latest album, highly celebrated. You have made a move. There's not that much guitar. There's like synths. There are elements of disco and R&B. That was a move from before. But where are you heading next? I mean, like it seems like the lyrical theme of this album is about change, and change seems to be a very important thing for you.
Yeah, I mean, not for any reason. Almost not for any reason that's like a consciously like evolving the music. I think like if you just trust your tastes, you know, like people's tastes evolve naturally anyway. So I kind of just do what I kind of, you know, want to do at the time, and let the change happen naturally, I guess.
But there's like a sort of a base in this psychedelic.
Yeah, well, I think that's just something. Like, I think that's just something that I like. Can't avoid. You know, like as hard as I try, even when I try to make a disco R&B song, it still turns out sounding kind of psychedelic rock. You know, I don't know. It's just something that just seems to be in my bones for whatever reason.
Are there like styles or music that you would like to try out in a Tame Impala environment? I was thinking that both your parents have roots in Africa, in Zimbabwe.
That's true.
In South Africa.
Could have some Afrobeat styles in there. I mean, like, that's just the thing. As soon as I hear about a kind of music that I don't know much about, or something that kind of like, you know, pricks my ears up, I'm just infinitely curious to know like how that kind of music is made. You know, like it's more about curiosity than anything else. You know, with like R&B, I just thought to myself, like, because the psychedelic rock I was making before is quite different, you know. So I guess it's just the more different it is, the more curious I am to try it out for myself. So in the future, it could be anything, you know. I love kind of different types of dance music. You know, I always have. And not to say that I could do that in the future, but it's just all those kind of things, you know.
And that's very obvious when you hear like currents.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you can hear it. It's true.
Maybe you should come back here to Sweden to learn more about our folk scene.
I'd love to. I'd absolutely
traditional
love to.
folk music as well. So
I'd love to do that. That'd be good. I think we talked about doing it a long time ago, just as a pipe dream, you know.
yeah. So welcome back in that case, and welcome back to play here as well. Thank you so
man.
much for joining us,
Oh,
Kevin
thanks.
Parker. Kevin Parker alltså som spelar i Tame Impala, som har spelat här i Skandinavien under vintern och som kommer tillbaka för festivaler